welcome to another BSL training vlog when I talk a little bit about the course that I'm taking to learn the entry level, the very first level of British Sign Language. Getting very close to the exam now. I'm filming this in November 2020 and we're going to take the exam on December the 8th, so we're getting very close. And we're taking a few lessons via Zoom rather than in the classroom at the Deaf Club because it is in a second national lockdown here in England in 2020. It's all the sort of coronavirus, COVID thing going on if you're watching this in future, and all of that is hopefully a distant memory. At this precise moment, things are a little bit difficult. Most of our lessons have been at the Deaf Club in person, which is great, but we're just having a handful over Zoom at the moment. So we all got together on there. We spent the first hour, about 45 minutes actually, just going through what the exam will be. We've already gone through it a little bit in the past actually, in the past couple of lessons. And we were having that conversation because the first exam is a conversation with the teacher, and we were having conversations with each other, with other people in the class. We didn't use breakout rooms this week. We actually all stayed in the same room and we're just talking to different people, which is a little bit difficult on Zoom because sometimes I was like up the top and the person I was speaking to was down the bottom. But you know, it's okay. It's all right. You make do. And the conversation pretty much goes through a greeting of someone. So you'll be saying hello and like this, and you'll be saying that you're pleased to meet them, and then you'll be asking their name and also how you arrived at the Deaf Club, because we're assuming that's kind of where you'll be. Or you have to use two forms of transport as well. So you could say you arrived in a car, or maybe you want to say you arrived in a hot air balloon. I mean, who knows? And then perhaps you can say you also perhaps walked for a bit, and you'll be saying how long you walked for. So maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes, for example, in order to get there, that kind of thing. And you might want to be reacting to the person that you're speaking to as well. You'll also be talking a little bit about the weather, as I've said, I think in past videos. And again, you'll be giving two forms of weather, one for the morning perhaps, and maybe one for the afternoon or the evening. And then just kind of reacting as well to and asking back to the teacher what the weather was like, maybe yesterday, that kind of thing. You'll also be asking for help, saying, can you help me? And then another one can help you as well. And it'll be then for directions, finding something. Again, we're doing it in the Deaf Club, so maybe finding the kitchen or the office, or there's a bar in there as well, maybe one of the toilets, a gents' toilet, or maybe a ladies' toilet, something like that. Or you can do that for toilet as well. So that's the conversation. You have to do it within 5 minutes. And most of the time when we were practicing between each other, we were way over it. We did have a go also, a couple of us had a go with the teacher, and amazingly, I managed to do the whole conversation in 4 minutes 40 with the teacher. But I think, of course, that's because the teacher is keeping the speed up, and of course she herself is really quick at signing and everything, whereas when we're doing it between ourselves, we're perhaps that much slower, and suddenly the 5 minutes is gone before you know it. So we've got to try, and she said you can go slightly over the 5 minutes. You could be 5.5 minutes or even 6 minutes, and you kind of will get away with it, but you kind of want to aim for 5 minutes really if you can. There's some quite stickler, these exams. They're quite sort of, they have to be done in a particular way, so it's very easy to fail actually, I think. But this is supposedly the easiest of the 3 exams we're taking this year, so we really want to kind of try and get this one done and dusted. After the lesson, my brother-in-law actually has been doing sign language for quite a number of years, and he's a lot more advanced than me. And he did say at one stage when I first started, if I ever wanted to practice with him, then to let him know. So I did send him a text message and said, oh, do you fancy meeting up over Zoom? So we had a chat over Zoom. We had a little bit of a conversation for about half an hour. That was really helpful. It was really nice as well. And he actually knows other signs and things that he was telling me that he knows, that of course that I don't. And it was interesting that some of the signs that he was using for signs that I've learned were slightly different. And this comes down to this regional variation, not just regional variation because he lives in the same part of the country as me, but it's also to do with what you've learnt and who you speak to, and things can be very subtly different, which I think is really interesting, but of course adds to the whole complexity. So we're going to meet up again over Zoom next week and have another go, which is really nice of him. I really appreciated that. So it's all very interesting. That was the first hour. The second hour of the lesson, we started on some of the topics for 102 for the next exam. And this was all to do with families. So children and parents and grandparents, was it mother and father, and sister and brother. What else it is? It was cousin as well. And I can't remember. So we were going through whether we have brothers and sisters and what their ages were, that kind of thing. So we're trying to get used to those. They weren't too bad actually. Those ones were okay. We're going to recap that again next week. What was it? Oh, well, one was son, which is the same as boy, I think, as well. I can't remember what daughter. Oh, daughter was that, I think, daughter. So yeah, it's trying to sort of remember these after the event and get them in my mind. So next week we're going to do more of the same. We're going to recap family. We're also going to have another practice because the exam is just getting closer and closer. And hopefully these ones over Zoom, that's where we're practicing. And the very first lesson, we're actually back in the Deaf Club. We'll be doing the exam. So it's going to be a big day that day when we go back. Anyway, that's it. That's an update. That's where we are at the moment. Any questions at all about what we're doing, please do post them below and I will do my best to answer. I hope you're enjoying these videos. Do hit the like button if you have. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you for another update next week.